Did you think this show would go this long?
No, only because everything I had ever done in television before had been canceled prematurely, in my opinion. So no, I have never been on a show this long, and it's Netflix longest running
How'd
series.
you get, in fact, last time you were with us, the show hadn't started.
I don't think so, yeah.
How'd you get the part?
I auditioned and tested and auditioned again, and then got it the old-fashioned way. I actually auditioned. By the time I had gotten to LA, I had read the script, but I was in Haiti, and there was no internet, so I couldn't read a script. I just heard the cast. I knew who was in it, and so I said, I don't have to read it. I want to be a part of it. And I got on a flight to LA and read the script and auditioned the next day.
What were you doing in Haiti?
There's an organization called English in Mind that teaches English to Haitians so that they can get a job with an NGO or a nonprofit, and so I was down there just for a week or so doing some work with them.
What's it like working with Jane Fonda, my dear friend?
She's wonderful.
She's your mother.
Right? She plays my mother, and I play her daughter, I should say. You know her. She's hyper engaged, and she has someone of political relevance or someone who's doing a ton of work in the nonprofit sector coming to set to visit. I mean, she's just constantly
climate change
in activist mode. Yeah, constantly.
You ever go with her on any of it?
I was in D.C. for Fire Drill Fridays in November. Yeah.
They didn't arrest you?
I didn't get arrested. I wanted to. There were many factors at play, but no, I didn't engage in the civil disobedience.
Why does Grace and Frankie work?
Yeah, I think it works for so many reasons. I think right now people want to escape and want to laugh, and we talk about things like smoking pot with your grandmother and being 80 years old and using a vibrator and going there in ways that a lot of shows haven't. And there's also representation for people of certain backgrounds and of a certain age that we haven't seen before on television. So I think it piques curiosity, and it's worked across
very well written.
Many generations. It is very well written. Yes.
What do you like about Sam Waterston and Martin Sheen?
Oh, they're just light. They just walk in and they're joy. It's so funny. An interesting bit about them is they sing show tunes in between takes. So they just
sing show tunes?
Yeah, they sing show tunes. They sing opera, and it was so magnetic that our writers actually wrote it into the storyline, where Martin's character performs in a musical as the leading man because we loved it so much. So they're a joy to work with.
Do you think it tackles older issues well?
I do. I mean, I think, previously people in their 70s or 80s or even 50s and 60s were written off as old comical grandmothers or the crazy next door neighbor. We didn't actually tackle issues of, sexuality for women of a different generation than had been represented on screen before. And I think they do a really good job of tackling serious issues, but also doing it in a way that makes you laugh.
How do you explain the chemistry between Lily and Jane?
It's rooted in so much history. They've adored each other and been friends for decades, and I don't think that that's something that can be duplicated in person or on screen. They just have a history, and I think they're a safety net for each other. I think this show is a big risk for both of them, and it was sort of them stepping into a different mode, and they're each other's safety net in a really beautiful way.
What do you make of the Netflix phenomenon?
I love it because I think I was saying this earlier, it's the cream rises to the top. I think what happens is it basically says no matter where your content is, if it's good, people are going to see it and love it. And they've done that single-handedly.
Because you've worked for film studios and network TV.
I have.
Is working for Netflix very different, or is acting just acting?
My process with Netflix, or the process that I've sort of experienced, is that they're more hands-off than network was. I also did a multicam where there's a network run-through, studio run-through, so they're more hands-on in the process, whereas Netflix, while they're involved, they're at every table read, there's sort of we're going to trust that you're going to make the best thing with our input. And so as a performer, I feel a more hands-off approach. I don't know if the creators would say that, but it feels a little bit different in that way. But on set, it's all the same.
Yeah, but less interference, right?
From my experience, yes. And I don't know if that's single cam versus multicam or if that's network versus streaming.
Back to the arrest, you and Jane Fonda.
Well, so I went there to protest, and I introduced the day of both education because it was about environmental injustice, but I didn't engage in civil disobedience, so I didn't get arrested. I had a flight to catch, which I know sounds trivial, but I was hosting something for Special Olympics the next day and couldn't miss that because it was a prior engagement, so I didn't engage in civil disobedience, though I wanted to. I never thought I'd be jealous of people getting arrested, and I was that day. Because I think what it does is the idea is that we've exhausted all options as far as climate change is concerned. We've petitioned, we've rallied, we've tried to implement legislation, and none of it's worked. And so sort of the last resort is making a lot of noise, and that's engaging in civil disobedience. And so when I was there, my co-stars were there, our writers' room was there, the creators of our show were there, and they were all sort of doing this act of defiance together for a worthy cause, and I wanted to be down there with them.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happens?
Yes. So we have one of our beloved cast members comes down with, they have a health scare that the family has to grapple with, and they try to hide it because we're a very invasive, involved family. And so that's in a way funny, in a way heartfelt and sad. My character, I've been an unpaid intern for my sister for the better part of 4 seasons, and I start to engage in what will become a power shift, which is really exciting. So
a little rebellious.
A little bit. For as rebellious as my character can be, which is not very rebellious.
You said that you had a hard time breaking, especially into the tech industry.
Yeah.
Women have a harder time. Is that improving?
I think it is improving. I think there's a lot of work to be done. Last I checked, women still only got 2% of funds allocated to businesses by venture capital. And I was new to tech. We sold a company a few months ago, but I was very new to tech, and I saw that. And I think a lot of it is simply because women don't have as much access to capital as men do to then shell out that capital to companies. So I do think it's getting better, but I think there's a lot of work to be done. You're
married to the tennis star Andy Roddick. You two did a series of commercials together?
We did, yes.
For Dietz and Watson, what was that?
We did. We had never really done much together, but there's a company called Dietz and Watson, and they do high-end grocery products, and we did a set of commercials together that were ridiculous and over the top and fun. It was just nice to go to work with my husband because I've never had that experience before. I've never done that.
What's Andy doing?
A lot of naps. He sleeps a lot. He plays golf. He's invested in a lot of businesses. He's working on an interesting sort of real estate company in Tennessee, and he keeps himself busy doing various work things. The old age or the age-old Hollywood story of his manager or his attorney called my manager.
And?
Which is very classy. Well, basically, so I used to host a football show for Sports Illustrated. And so I did my football picks every week, and he was a big football fan, or is a big football fan, and watched the show, and reached out several times, and I did not respond for 5 months, and finally I called him back, and then the rest is history. It's a terrible story. I need to start lying, is what really needs to happen.
Where'd you go on your first date?
We went to UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, the improv group in New York, and then we went to an Italian restaurant in New York.
Was it hit right away, the two of you? I mean, did you sense something that night?
I was so young. I think I was 19 when we met. So for me, I wasn't even thinking marriage and all of that. But I knew that we laughed together. We had the same sense of humor, by going to the show and enjoying kind of the same bits of it. And I knew I really liked him. I would say he was committed faster than I was.
But he chased you.
He sure did. He chased me down.
You're a big football fan, right?
I'm less so with children. I can't watch TV for 3 hours on a Sunday anymore. But I was for a long time. I just don't have the time to watch anymore. Isn't that terrible?
And why the Carolina Panthers?
I grew up in North Carolina. I was there when the franchise started. And so to be, outside of Charlotte, I was in Matthews, North Carolina, and to have a franchise come to town was a huge deal at the time. And so I grew up with them. I was there at the start.
Modeling was tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Was it boring?
I wouldn't call it boring because I traveled, but it was...
We did Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, there was a lot of good that came with it, but it was one of those things where hard work doesn't equate to success, and that was very frustrating for me. To know that you just show up and if you don't fit a certain dress, you go home. That's hard work has nothing to do with any things of any sort of semblance of success in that industry.
Did you do a specialty kind of modeling, like bathing suit, or you did everything?
I kind of did everything. I never walked a runway, but I kind of did everything. But the bathing suit stuff was what really launched my career with Sports Illustrated, for sure.
So everything is cool with you, Brooklyn. You want more children?
Everything's cool. Do I want more children? Oh my God, it depends on the day you ask me. Not right now. It's exhausting,
Yeah, I know.
It's so tiring. It's the jump from 1 to 2 was a lot harder than I expected.
And then is the 2 a boy?
My second is a girl, and my oldest is a boy, and my girl is tougher than my boy.
Yeah, terrible 2s.
There's the terrible 2s. Yes, I mean it's gotten a lot easier because my 2-year-old can now communicate and verbalize her needs, which has helped so much. But yeah, it's more challenging than I expected. So I don't know. We'll see. My husband says we're done. I say we want 7 children. So we'll see where we land.
Does Andy play tennis anymore?
He does, not professionally, of course, but he does. He loves the game. He just didn't like. He didn't like playing professionally. He didn't like competing professionally.
Really?
But he loves the game. Yeah.
Never miss a beat. Subscribe to Larry King Now and watch new episodes every day.